Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the match preview for the preliminary final against Brisbane. And all of a sudden, there were only 4 left. It's time to talk all things black and white. Switch on. Switch on. It's that time. It is that time. We are days, just a few days away from this penultimate matchup against the side who we have, one of the great modern day rivalries, we must admit now, if we want to go back all the way to the early 2000s of this decade, it's certainly a rivalry that will forever be etched in the history books, and there's another story to confirm on Saturday, hopefully inked in black and white. That's what we are hoping for. So many stories going into this game. The one at the top of the list, which ironically we'll spend the least amount of time on in this preview, and that is the Bobby Hill selection or non-selection. Seemingly unlikely. At this point, we've all had our own opinion regarding this matter, and now we just have to defer to the authority and trust that Fly and Jared Wade have got this one right. That's all I can say on this Wednesday evening. That's all I can say. We just have to trust the authority. What else has been a big story? Call it the unwanted tornado, sort of just roaming around the streets of this preliminary final, and that is the Brody Myercheck conversation. Probably another one we're not going to talk much about in this video, especially with the news of Buller potentially seemingly more and more likely to sign on for the 2-year contract at the Pies next year. So I don't know, do performances in these games, that's a good question, do performances in these games justify, and does it have Collingwood reconsider what offer has been tabled for a Brody Myercheck? Because I'll tell you this much. That performance from Jamie Elliott in the qualifying final, I would argue we were pretty much all on the side of give Elliott what he needs, but also be mindful that we don't do that for everyone, including Myercheck, and that's the way it is. But after he kicked those 4 goals against Adelaide, you go, yep, he's the one we just have to double down on. If he's not happy for whatever reason with the offer on table, change that, fix that, make it work, get it right, get it done in the off-season, okay? That's that. Jeremy Howe, that's the good news story. He says he feels super fit. He feels like he's ready to go. At the end of the day, what we need to see is Jeremy Howe gets through a solid session tomorrow for main training, and maybe Fly can give us a little hint in that pre-game press conference after training, just to settle the nerves, of those wanting Jeremy Howe to be fit and available on Saturday, and that would be every single one of us that support the club. The question of that I've sort of sprung out to our Pies footy community is just, how do you use him? Do you just stick with him in the back line and add to what's been really solid in that back half for the last 4 weeks? Obviously, the course of the season as well. We are the number 1 defensive side, so we don't forget that. Or is there an assignment for Harris Andrews? Something less likely, but I think we'll see Myercheck and Mason Cox almost double team Harris Andrews. If the ball is moving in slowly, and that's what I foresee happening. If the ball moves in quickly, I'm not fussed about who's on Harris Andrews at any given time. It can be Jamie Elliott on Harris Andrews. If the ball's moving in quickly and Jamie Elliott has space to leading up to the ball, if Jamie Elliott has space to run back towards goal with Harris Andrews on his tail, I'm happy with that as well. It's more so, what do we do with the slow ball? But this, with the wet weather, likely wet weather that we're going to see in this game, I think it stinks. it stinks of a Jordan De Goey, couple goals from a stoppage in that forward 50. I think goals in the from stoppages in the forward line are going to be massive in wet conditions. Does it make it? Does it break it? It's going to be a massive piece. And centre bounce as well. Always in final series, the centre bounce profile is important going into these games, because in a game where there's a lot of congestion and repeat stoppages, the most important and the biggest opportunity to break that and find space is to dominate from centre bounce. And, you know, if we look at years gone by, premiership teams, and even if you go to Collingwood versus Brisbane grand final, we'll go to it now. If I go all the way back to, let's go 2023. Let's have a look at how we went with our centre bounce. Collingwood scored 3 goals, 1 from centre bounce in the grand final to Brisbane's 2 goals straight. And then typically the average for a season from centre bounce is, well, outside of Western Bulldogs, who've literally averaged 3 goals a game, and they have the best midfield in the competition, arguably. But beyond that, it's 2 goals a game. So you do see in the grand finals, in the prelims, in any final, it's the centre bounce where you get a lot of bang for your buck, because there's not that much space. So hopefully we can create a chokehold on Brisbane's ball movement and ask them to beat us in a different way. And then just trust that we've built this game all season long to be ready for the finals type of footy. Look, honestly, we're coming up against a side who are just as familiar with the final series and in this day and age, being Brisbane, where 2 of the more experienced clubs going around at the moment in this, and then you have to worry about after. You've got Hawthorn, a young budding Hawthorn, who are just obviously just riding a massive wave right now, and then you've got Geelong, who are even more experienced than Collingwood and Brisbane probably put together in the last 10 or so years when it comes to finals experience. So there is that. Hugh McLuggage is something that springs to my mind when I think about this game. Does Ned Long put a body on him? What does Josh Dunkley do? I would assume, does Josh Dunkley go to a Nick Dacos or a Jordan De Goey? I say pick your poison, Brisbane. I think if you want to put all your eggs in the Nick Dacos basket, by all means, go for it. I don't know if they bring Jared Berry into the centre bounce much, but I think this game might be made on, if I had to pick a department, I'd like to see how Collingwood's medium-sized forwards go up against Brisbane's medium-sized forwards. And I'm talking about, so if we look at Bailey, Zach Bailey, and the Ashcrofts. Let me check. Who'd they play? So they had, without Lockie Neal in the midfield, if we go centre bounce, you're looking at players like Zach Bailey and Cam Rayner versus Bo McCreary and Jamie Elliott and Lockie Schultz and Kai Lohman. I think the game might come down to that, especially when you factor in that Zach Bailey and Rayner will find some midfield time, but so will Bo McCreary, who's a medium-sized forward player anyway. So I'm curious what happens in that department, and that's something I'd like to keep a close eye on. Not that it's going to make the game what it is, but when you think about the conditions and how strong this department for both clubs are, I think it's going to be a cool sub story to what we're going to see on Saturday. And we've got the home crowd. Congratulations to everyone who's going to be there and managed to get a ticket. I'll be watching at home with my brother at home. Unfortunately, couldn't get Chris a ticket, so we are going to watch it from home. But I mean, the company is more important than the environment sometimes. So that's what I'll say. I think I'll leave it at that. I've got a live stream in 7 minutes, so you guys will be watching this at 7 o'clock tonight after the live stream. So hello, and if you're still here and you're not subscribed, consider subscribing if you don't want to miss a notification. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, go Pies.